This is Kim. I'm from countrycraftcreations.com as a creative design team member, and I have a new set of papers that I'm going to be working with, and I thought I would show you the papers before I actually start working on the project. This is by Photoplay, and it is called Moments in Time, and it's very shabby chic vintage, which is right up my alley. I decided to show you the papers real quick, like I said, and then I think I'm going to be making, I know I'm going to be making a photo album that's pre-made, just to kind of see. Usually I start from scratch, and so this is one of the Graphic 45 mixed media albums, and this one is in craft, but I know that Tammy carries them in the store in the ivory color, so, but not the craft. So the paper that I'll be using, like I said, is called Moments in Time, and the sticker sheet is adorable. It has a good variety. There's flags, there's words, there's pictures, some small, some large. So that's a good variety. And the papers are awesome. There's the dolled up, and that's the dress forms. And on the back is a polka dot that's kind of a green. This is really pretty. It's called Antique, and it's got real pretty flowers on it. And then we have a stripe on the back. This is called Audubon. Whoops, I'm dropping my papers. Hold on. This is called Audubon, and it is birds. And I like birds on paper, but not in real life. They drive me insane. Right now, I have an owl in my tree, and it woke me up at 7 o'clock this morning. Anyway, on the back, then we have pretty colors. And there's the birds are a blue color. This is my fave. This is called Postcards, and it's got the Eiffel Tower. There's a little bit of script in the background, and then here's the collage of postcards. And I already used one sheet, so let me get that out of the way. Let me see, I'm missing, I used some already. So here is Memories, and on the other side are those flowers. That's real pretty. And I think that's all of them. Let me just double check real quick. I think I've shown you all the different, there is a cut apart sheet that looks like this, and different sizes are on here. I really like the clock that has family time written on the bottom. The Eiffel Tower I love. The teacups are awesome. And I just got a die that's a teapot, so that would be cool with that. And then on the other side is this pattern. So again, I'm going to put together a pre-made Graphic 45 mixed media album. I may be incorporating some of these enamel dots that are by Cartabella, and I also have some real pretty lace from the store that I can incorporate also. So please stay tuned. I'll be showing you my the process, and I will be including pictures of the finished product. I'm hoping that this will be a quick project, so that when you have something you need to make and you don't have much time, that this will be your go-to. So let's get started. Inside of the mixed media book, it comes with 8 pieces, at least the one I have, has 8 pieces of vellum. It has 10 pieces of a cream colored cardstock, and it comes with 8 pieces, 10 of the cardstock in this color, and then 10 in the cream color, but it's 8 of the vellum. And then you get 4 of these pockets. Okay, so I wanted my vellum to have some texture to it, and so I ran it through with one of my embossing folders, and it was a little bit too much pressure, and so you can see that it's went through in a lot of places, and so this one won't work for me. I have to get rid of this one. But I sandwiched it then in between 2 pieces of cardstock, and so it came out, I don't know if you can see the texture, it came out much more subtle than the original one, so the impression is not as deep, but there's enough that you can obviously tell it's there, and this time it did not rip all the way through. So by sandwiching it between the cardstock, it helped. So I'm doing that to all 8 of my pieces of vellum, but I'll have 7 in the end because I screwed up the first one. So that's what I decided to do with the vellum. And then let's move on then to the 4 cardstock pockets. For each of the divider pages, I measured, and the photo play paper is 6 1/4 by 3 for the pockets, and I did 6 1/4 by 6 on all of the top parts, the one that goes behind the pocket. And the first time I did one, I put this on and then I punched a hole to match this, but it was pretty thick. So what I did was I kind of eyeballed it here, turned it upside down, used a pencil to fill in the hole, and I went ahead and punched it. And then I can glue this on. I did use walnut stain around my edges on all the paper by Tim Holtz. That's what I like. There's other ones too. I know that Prima has some, and I've used that and I like it, but to me it's not as maybe dark, or the pad doesn't seem as wet or juicy, I guess I would say. And so sometimes I felt like I wasn't getting enough coverage. However, the other Prima brand does dry fast, so you just kind of have to decide which one you like the best. But I'm kind of a fan of walnut stain anyway, because I like a darker border. Okay, and then I just go ahead and adhere. You guys, this is so easy, I can't even tell you. And the goal is to get something done quickly. There were 4 of these, and so because I like this paper so much, I did this on the front of all of them. And then I just alternated the colors of the pockets. And then on the back, I did these the same, and again, just alternated the color of the pockets. So, and then I'm going to tuck this underneath here and get an idea of where to punch the hole for this one. I did not measure, I did not include the tab. I'll try and think of something to put on there. And that looks about right. And I've already inked my edges, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue this. The embellishing part is the fun part for me, and it used to be the part that I was the most intimidated by, but now I really like it. On the cardstock pages, because of the size of this album, I don't know that I'll have enough paper to cover the whole page, so I'm going to do some other things to add interest to the page, but it'll be mainly for pictures, and so I don't have to cover the whole thing. So I'll probably paper piece some different ones together, look at my scraps and see what I have, use some dies to cut some things out. And I got a new die cutting machine thanks to a gal from Scrapbookers who helped me out. Thoughtful. Okay, so then that's how I did each of the sides, and I'll do the back. But like I said, I would punch the hole before you put it on, just because it's pretty thick. Now I have a crocodile, but the holes were different sizes, so that's why I decided to use just a regular paper punch. And so now I'm going to start looking at some of my scraps, and I'm going to move on to the different cardstock that came with it. So the next step is going to be to take the 2 craft colored pieces. There was a total of 10, and so to make 5 pages, I'm just going to take the 2 pieces and I'm going to glue them together on 3 sides so that there's an opening on the right hand side. And then there were 10 pieces of this cream colored cardstock, and I'm going to glue on 3 sides so that the opening is at the top, and so I'll have 5 pages of each. So what I did was I just took my art glitter glue, because that seems to be the best adhesive for keeping things nice and together, and the glue dries pretty quick, and it's got a really firm hold. And if you use score tape, you do sometimes have whatever tag or whatever you put inside the pocket sometimes sticks on that score tape, so sometimes a wet adhesive is a better choice. So these line up real easily because you can line up the holes that are pre-punched to see if you are lined up. So that works really nice. Just push down. I have a dry baby wipe here to get the excess glue that comes out the corners. And then I'm going to put clothespins on the corners just to make sure that they stay sealed and stay together. Go ahead and use my burnishing tool and make sure they're adhered real well. Okay, and then I'm just going to put these on here temporarily. These are, I think, quilting clothespins. Okay, and so then when that dries, we'll have the opening so that we can place a tag inside, or a map, whatever you want to call it. And now I'm going to do the same thing for these, but this time I'm going to glue it like a U shape so that I have a variety of different openings. You don't need too much because of the ring binder. It's going to stay together. It's not like it's a hinge system, so for some reason I'm thinking that doesn't require, I mean, they're going to stay together no matter what. Oopsie. Got a little bit wider than I wanted to, but okay. Again, line up the holes. That's the easiest way. And there we go. Got a little bit of glue coming out here. And then I go ahead and use my bone folder too, just to make sure it's got a good seal. Just like so. And I'll go ahead and put the pins on. And I just put it on all 4 corners. Like so. Okay, and then you can choose your paper to put on, and you'll have a space on the top for the top mat. Okay, so let's see, I've done the vellum paper. I'm trying to decide. I think I might go and, because this is raised, put a little bit of the Versamark on top and then sprinkle some embossing powder and see how that turns out. I'll probably put grommets, is that what you call it? Eyelets on the holes to keep it more secure so they don't rip. And then I will start embellishing some more. So that's my next step, is to put the eyelets, actually I'll put the paper on first on these and then put the eyelets in, and then on this one it doesn't, I'll do the embossing first and then I'll put the eyelets in. So I started working on the embossing of my vellum paper and I did not like how it was turning out, but I wanted this to have some sort of color or texture to it, and I wanted you to be able to see the flowers better if it was up against something else. So when you look at this, you don't really see the flowers. So what I did is I took a light green ink, and I'm just going around and kind of outlining the embossed part with that green color so that it stands out. And there'll be parts that are more white and parts that are more green. And that just, to me, gives it kind of an aged look, but yet also a more feminine, and you see it better. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I like it. Now you see it better when it's on this paper, but if you were just to look at it by itself, it's really subtle and you don't notice it that much. It's not until it's up against something that you really start to see it. So I'm just going to go around, make sure I get my corners, and you know, I'm just making the motion of a circular, or you know, kind of a circular motion around the raised parts. There's not really an exact science to it at all, but like I said, I liked the color and it adds just a little bit of something to it. You can see the flower more. I tried a pink color, but the pink ink I had was way too harsh, so that didn't work. Okay, so you can see how that's coming. Let me show you one that's finished. I'll have to get my white paper, my cream colored paper, so you can see. But this is what it looks like. And I just think that that's better than being plain, so that when you turn the page, you can see it a little bit better. So that's what I'm doing with each of the 8 pieces, actually 7 because I screwed that one up, 7 pieces of vellum paper. For each one of the craft pages that I put together where the opening is on the side, I went ahead and I took a stamp. I had this, and it looks like script or kind of like a post marking. Anyway, and I just kind of did some random stamps here and there in brown. And I did that on the front and on the back. So then I decided, you know, the purpose of this album is to be quick. I'm also trying to cut down on paper so that you can get this done with one pack of paper. So rather than fill the whole thing, that's why I decided to go with the stamp and go with a smaller piece of paper as a mat. So I cut out some, I have a die, and I cut that out, and that's going to go up here on top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first, and I want it as close to the top as possible. I got some glue clog. Okay, and this fine tip on the glue bottle is so helpful when you're working with these really fine pieces, the real small ones. It does a nice job so it doesn't get too much on there and make a mess and have a lot of waste. So if you order the right size through Country Craft Creations, the tip comes with it. So that's kind of nice. Okay, I think I got enough. So I'm just going to eyeball it. It's a little off. I think it might be more to this side, but it'll work. And this glue does dry clear. Yeah, it's off a hair, but I can live with it. Okay, so then what I did is I'm going to put a mat for a picture, and I want a little flag or tag coming out the bottom like so, just to like that. So I'm going to line this up where I want it, and this one I'm going to move over a hair. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the flag and place this again. Okay, so now I know where I want that. That's in the right spot then. And I did again ink all my edges already. And this paper, what did it measure? 6 by 4.5, no, 5.5. I'll have to check. I like working with 6 inches so you don't waste your 12 by 12, so that you have half of it left for something else. Okay. And I like to always burnish it real well. And if you have the excess glue, use those dry baby wipes. Okay. And I have a Martha Stewart punch that does these real small leaves. I'm going to go ahead and put those up on the die cut that I used. And I'm just going to glue those down. Yeah, I'm going to do that first. And kind of center it. Do the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to put a flower here, and I have a piece, let me cut this. Okay, so I'm going to do this part later just because I have to do the back first, otherwise it's with the dimension, it's hard to work with. So let me just trim this piece of this applique real quick around the edges. And a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Now the back is going to be real simple. And what I plan to do is I just used a tag and put some of the paper on there and put some seam binding through, and I'm just going to put it off to the and glue it on one side and the bottom like an L, so that I can tuck a photo mat underneath. So I'll get some paper and cut it and stick it in the side so that you can put another picture on here. So again, just in the shape of an L, I'm going to put my glue. Let's see, this side. Okay, and just kind of eyeball it where you think it looks good. And push down real good. And like I said, I'll come back and put a mat, tuck it inside. Okay, that's all I'm doing to that side. The stamping and then that tag. Let's see if I have a small piece of paper just to kind of show you what I'm in. These are too big that I'm going to show you, but just so you can see, just put something behind it and then put a picture on it. Okay, so I'm going to finish off this side, and I'm just going to put a flower on the top. I'm using the art glitter glue for that too, and just put it in the center. Push down just for a second. It does dry fast, so you don't have to wait very long. Okay, and then I'm going to take this applique that I have, and looks like I have to trim just a little bit more. When I brought it up to the camera, I saw some loose pieces. And I'm just going to attach that down here, and I'm only going to glue it on the bottom part, so again you can tuck a picture. And this glue works for fabric also, so it pretty much works for everything. And it does dry clear if I haven't said that before. Just pardon me. Okay. So that again you will be able to tuck a picture underneath. Okay. So that's what that side is going to look like. So I've done all the other pages. We're a total of 5, remember, so I've done 4 already. So there's this one. This one. I did another one that was solid green, but the back is the dress form. I love that. And then the last one. Okay, so I've got the craft colored ones done. I have my vellum paper done. So now I just need to work with the cream colored. And remember, there's an opening at the top, and I'm trying to decide. I think there's an opening at the top. My hands have so much glue on them. Maybe it's this side. I had it upside down. I have to decide what I want to do for this. I might want one page open for journaling and maybe doing some stamping. I'm going to have to think about it. I want it to be a little bit different. I don't want to just put another mat on the center. Okay, I need to do some thinking. I'll be back. Okay, it's time for the cream colored paper or cardstock. And remember, this one was open at the top. I went ahead and edged the both sides with the walnut stain, and I did take a circle punch and take some out at the top. Okay. On the back, I stamped in brown just a little flourish type picture. I'm going to do the back first because the front has dimension, and so it's easier to work on it when that's not on there. So the only thing I did for the back, to me this is more, it's kind of turning into a junk journal, like slash album. And so this could be used for room to write. So the only thing I wanted to do was to add a little bit of color, and so what I chose to do was cut out two pieces. This one is from the Moments in Time collection, like a banner on the bottom, and then I edged it with walnut stain, and then I did cream colored, edged it with walnut stain, and this is a heart sticker from the collection, and I'm just going to attach the two and then place it at the top, okay, just so that it gives it a little bit of something and it's not too boring, but yet there's still room to either add a picture or to add journaling. So I just wanted something simple, and I think this does the trick. So I'm just going to line this up. These are actually dies, but this would be really easy, obviously, to cut freehand. And then when I lay it down on here, I'm not going to glue the whole thing. I'm just going to glue the very top, maybe just a little bit, about an inch down. And then I'm going to turn this sideways so I can make sure I line it up at the top. Make sure it's lined up on the sides, the same amount of distance, and just press down. And that is all I am doing on the back. Now I have my other ones finished. I'm just doing one to show you, and each one of them had the same thing, just a different tag, color, and a different sticker. Okay, so they're all the same idea. So now on the front side, I had gone to a garage sale a while ago, and they had an old hymnal for sale, and so I bought it for the paper. So I like the music note, so that's going to be the background on this page rather than the collection of papers that I have. And I'm just going to rip the edges to make it look aged, and it rips really easily. You don't want it to be nice and straight. Okay, and let's just make sure it fits, and it does. And I'm going to take some walnut stain and just lightly go around the edges just to give that a little bit of an aged look. There's no neat way you have to do it, just slap some on there. And this will be covered with a glassine bag anyway, so you won't see a whole lot of it. And again, this will help to save paper if you only have one collection that you've purchased. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that with my art glitter glue. Okay. Try and center it without covering that half circle that's been cut out. Okay. Next I have some of these glassine bags. I'm pretty sure that they make like a sandwich bag, a wax type paper sandwich bag, but I happen to have had these in my stash, and I cut it to 6 inches tall, and I did place some score tape on the back. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down on top of my music paper. Okay, and just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't necessarily have to be centered because I want to see some of the paper off to the side. So I'm going to do that so you can see a little bit. Okay, next I have a die that cuts out like a doily, and I went ahead and inked the edges, and I'm going to place that about right here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, and this doesn't have to be glued down super awesome strength because I'm going to have a cut apart on top of it, and so that will keep it down just a little bit on the edges. And again, this is where that fine tip really comes in handy. And this glue is going to dry clear anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Just some odds and end places. Okay. So let's go ahead and put that about right there. And I'm going to go ahead and get my dry wipe and just pat it down to make sure it adheres. So I'm going to be using this cut apart. I wonder if you can see that very well. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Let me zoom in, maybe that'll help. Is that better? I think it is. Okay. But I'm going to put I took a piece of paper about 1.5 inches and just cut out a triangle on each end, and I'm going to lay that about right there. Okay. So this is when it started coming to my brain that this is looking more and more like a junk journal, and that's totally okay. Okay, and now I will adhere this like so. And this one I took the Tim Holtz distress tool and went around the edges, and then I just kind of dabbed a little bit of the walnut stain around the edges. So I'm going to put that about right. Okay. Okay. I have some crocheted type trim, and I'm just going to place that at the bottom of the glassine bag, just like so. Actually, I'm going to bring it up just a hair. And again, the art glitter glue will work on this also. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm thinking, what does it not work on? It surprises me when the glue is so good that it took me so long to hear about it. Maybe because it's hard to get in the winter time, because it can change the consistency, so they don't really ship it when it's really cold. But this stuff's awesome. But everybody has their own preference of adhesive, I know. Okay. And I'll pat that down. Layering has never been one of my fortes, and so I'm trying to get better, and so things like this kind of help because it's supposed to be like a junk journal, I guess, so it's okay if it doesn't turn out exactly perfect. So I felt like I needed something here to connect the two, so I found this wood flourish, and I'm going to glue that down. And so I'm going to use the glue. I went through my stash, and each one that I made has something different in the corner by the cut apart. And one of them has a spoon because the picture is of teacups. One of them has a flower. What was the other one? A butterfly. Okay, I'm just going to hold that just for a second while it glues or sticks. What was the other? Oh, buttons was on one of them. So the fronts are all going to be similar, just different pictures and colors. Okay, so I do want to put a tag on the inside, so I just made one out of cardstock. This cardstock measured 3 by 6, and then I angled the corners. And so I took a piece of the collection and I cut that 2 7/8 by 5 7/8. I inked the corners, and now I'm just going to glue this onto that craft paper. You know, I said this was supposed to be like a fast journal or album with little paper, but I'm not going to lie, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted on this page, so I had to sit and stare at it for a long time. So So that became time consuming, but once I had the idea, I just repeated it. This book repeats itself for the patterns and stuff. Just taking a hole punch. I'm going to put some ribbon through there. Pull it through. And I like to angle the edges. And before I put it in the pocket, I'm going to look at my sticker sheet and see if there's something I can put on there. And I think I'm going to go with, some of the stickers are too big. This one says you are my type. So here's a heart that says, that might blend in too much. I want to go with it. I'll do the heart that says joy. And I'll just kind of ink around it to get that white off the edges. And I'll put it off in the corner like so. And then I'm just going to stick that in my glassine bag. And there you go. So here's the back again. Let me show you the other ones and how they turned out. I'm happy with all of them, really. So here's the first one I did that took me so long to figure it out. But they all repeat the same type of style. So there's this one, and this is the one that has the spoon in the corner because this is teacups. So there's that one. And again, they all are the same on the back too. And I have two more. Here's the one with the butterfly. And the last one is my favorite, and that's this one. I just think that looks really cool. It turned out exactly perfect. And then the back. Okay, so we have all the pages done, and I just need to go back to the pocket pages and probably add some decoration. And I'm going to take the album. Here, let me get it. This was the Graphic 45 Mixed Media album. I'm going to go ahead and cover it with the paper, and I kept aside some paper that I wanted to use so that I wouldn't accidentally use it while I was making the rest of it. So you just need 4 pieces. I did 2 of one design and 2 of the other design that are 6 1/4, and I did 8 9/16, which I know is a weird, but I like it when it's framed just the right amount. So I went 8 9/16. So there's that. It's kind of hard to see. It's not very clear, is it? I'm still getting used to this camera. I've had it for I don't know how long, and it takes me a while. Okay, anyway. So this is going to be my front cover, the Eiffel Tower. And I'm going to put some lace here. And the back is going to be the same. So I did the front and the back the same. And then on the inside, I'm going to have the striped paper. And I'm going to place that on the front and the back. And there is a something I'm going to need to put some there too. I'll probably just put this paper there too. So that's my next step, is I've already inked the edges, just to glue this down and then decorate and put everything in. So it's all coming together. It'll probably be a little bit thicker because I'm adding some more embellishments, but I'm going to go ahead and start putting things together and come back. So everything is put together. Yes, it's definitely a junk journal now. I'll go through and show you how the pages look and how I finished the decorating on the cover and how I put papers on the inside of the pocket pages. This cover, I went ahead and I had an old, what was it? Like a, not with blinds, drapes, valance something, and that was old, and I just cut it apart, and so that's what I used for my spine. And I just wrapped it around. And then on the back, I have this cream colored trim that I got from Country Craft Creations, and it's really pretty, but I wanted something kind of flat. Okay. You'll notice that I did put a wood piece that says "Love Those Memories." I had purchased some crocheted flowers from a lady. I don't know how to crochet myself. And I just kind of put some ephemera together that I had. So the things down here on the front cover are not from the paper collection. I just printed that off the internet, had an old postcard. This plastic pearl trim is one of my favorites. So let's take a look on the inside and see how everything looks together. It is chunky, but I like mine books when they're this chunky. I don't necessarily like a closure on them. They're easier to stand up, like so, and I like it that way, but you could easily put some sort of closure. So when you open it, this was from an old Bo Bunny, some paper I had, and I just cut that to form a pocket. I ended up putting some lace here to cover that piece in the center, and I just made a little booklet to stick inside here, and it says family, and I went ahead and put decorative paper on it, and that just tucks in the side. And measurement wise, I mean, I guess you may not necessarily need the measurement depending on, I mean, you don't really have this pocket that I'll have, but this is 7 and that's 5.5. So 5.5 by 7 is where, and I always cut my paper 1/8 of an inch smaller for the decoration. So the first page then is the pocket pages that came pre-made, and then I put piece of cutout there that I had. It's real sparkly. Just used some of the paper from the collection in the pockets. Did not back those on paper. Sticker, used a die to cut this out. And then on the back, again, I just have a die that I cut out of the base paper and put a sticker from the collection on the side. On these pages, the ones that are a brown color, there's the pocket on the outside, on the right hand side, and so all of those have a tag that comes out, and I left it empty on the back. And these measure 5.5 by 7 also. And I didn't put anything on the edge to pull it out. I'll just stick that back in there and remember that it's in there. And then on the back, all of them, again, here's the tag. You can tuck something in there because I left that open, so you can slide something in there. Here is the vellum paper that I embossed with the floral pattern. And then here are the pocket pages, the cream colored pages that have the opening at the top. And all of these also have a 5.5 by 7 matte paper in there with the decorative paper on it. Stick that back in there. Come on, get in there. So, you know, depending on how you glue it, there we go. Yours might be a different size than mine because remember we just glued around the outside edge. So, and then the backs are the same, remember. So rather than take too much of your time, I'm just going to go ahead and flip through real quickly. That was my favorite, remember. So I think that this will be good for pictures and for writing. It's still shabby chic to me and a vintage feel. And I really don't think you can go wrong with this paper. I really liked it. The colors were perfect, the pattern. Almost done. And it gets a little tight here at the end, I have to admit. And then that last page. So hopefully if you need to make something quick and you have one of the Graphic 45 mixed media books, it'll be a quick, easy project. If you have any questions, let me know. It really is a fun way to take a pre-made album and kind of put your own spin on it and make it your own. Most of the materials that I use are from Country Craft Creations. If you, like I said, have any questions, leave a comment below, and I would love to see your project. So if you're on the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations page on Facebook, go ahead and add a picture or upload a picture so I can see your album, and have a good time with it, and I will see you next time.